Hello, my name is George Braswell, and this is my storage device presentation for CYB 515. The first slide, we're going to talk about Windows versus Linux file systems. For similarities, both Linux and Windows do use a directory structure to organize their files, represented as folders when viewed in the GUI. And for the Intel or IBM-based hardware machines, they both use the master boot record to load the operating system for both Windows and Linux. Also, an additional difference that we could add there is that in Linux, you're also able to boot from a network device, which Windows does not allow. The other differences: Linux uses a branching tree organization structure beginning with the root or /, while the Windows file system structure begins with the letter drive, C, D, E, etc. C is the most common hard drive letter. In Linux, everything is a file. This means pictures, text, movies, music, those are all considered files. Folders are also considered files, and there's a group of some of the most common ones there in Linux. And devices are also considered files. So a mouse, keyboard, hard drives, peripherals of that nature are also considered files. Linux grants permission to users to read, edit, and execute all files, and permissions can also be changed easily to apply access restrictions for different users by a super user on the Linux system. In Windows, it's a bit different. It's a little bit more difficult to set those permissions. You're going to be using group policy management if you're working on a server, or just an administrative user will have to make those changes working on a desktop as well. For Linux, that system allows multiple files with the same name in the same directory, because file names are case sensitive for Linux. So for example, there, all caps file, all lowercase file, and a mixture of upper and lowercase would all be considered separate files in Linux, even if each contain the same data. Windows does not allow multiple files within the same name in a folder. Each additional file after the first has to be renamed. For my business preference, I chose Windows, and that is because Windows is so prevalent across the globe in businesses everywhere. Linux has been gaining in popularity, in particular with server deployments. Windows 10 even allows virtualization of Linux in virtual environment to create different Linux distributions. Windows is still the king, though, when it comes to the business environment. The Windows OS is a standard for businesses around the world. As I mentioned, also the software, Microsoft Office Suite and M365, are also standard equipment in nearly all businesses around the world. Linux does have the ability to run the Office Suite, but it's not native. A third-party application is required, such as Wine, because Windows is so ubiquitous. File compatibility is guaranteed when we're talking about two different users in different businesses that need to share data. If they're sharing things that are coming out of Windows or coming out of Microsoft Office Suite, that compatibility is guaranteed. For network storage solutions, I considered the NAS, or network attached storage, versus the storage area network, or SAN. NAS is a server storage solution made up of several specific hard drives with large capacities, and this creates a centralized data storage repository for computers operating on the network. The data saved on a NAS is shared among connected users, which is much easier than each individual computer sharing its saved data across the network back and forth. NAS solutions do excel at file sharing, data backups, network printing, and as a media server. They're also an affordable option. However, the NAS can cause network congestion or be impacted by normal traffic on the LAN, because that's how the NAS is accessed, and it's generally not considered a high performance option, especially for intensive applications such as large databases. For the SAN, it's a high-speed network with the specific purpose of providing shared groups of storage devices to servers. So we're talking about a large pool of storage devices that are used by all manner of different servers, And so all of these servers have access to this large pool of storage devices. SAN connected servers are able to access storage drives as if they were installed directly on the server, making saving and file requests very speedy. Storage is dynamically allocated based on server requests, and it's not affected by other network traffic. So a SAN is going to be best suited for, like I mentioned previously, large databases, large media libraries, backups, email servers, etc. The downside, the cons to a SAN are going to be that it's a highly complex network system. It requires a special skill set by the individuals setting it up, and also by the people that would be maintaining that system as well. For the SAN, it is much more costly than network attached storage. There's a large upfront cost due to the installation and modification of network architecture and for the SAN hardware itself. For ethical considerations, my verse here, 1 Corinthians 4:2, moreover, it is required of stewards that they be found trustworthy. And that word trustworthy is the key there. When we're placed in these positions, we are being granted trust by our organizations, by our managers, by the people above our managers. We are in a role that requires us to be upstanding, people of integrity, and as Christians, that's what we're called to live as well. We're supposed to live our lives with integrity, to be trusted with the resources that God gives us. We're called to be good stewards of all the resources we're given. Everything belongs to God in the first place, even the IT department budget. We're also called to be examples to others. We are held to a higher standard. In our positions, we're serving our organizations, the people around us, and the people we answer to who hold the purse strings. We must also weigh the needs of the organization against the constraints of the budget. If what the organization really needs is high-performance solution, something that's going to be super fast, with a lot of speed, to handle large databases, to handle those very intensive applications, then the appropriate choice is going to be a SAN. The upfront cost would be preferable to the cost of first going after a network attached storage solution and realizing that that just wouldn't work for the organization. And then we ultimately end up paying for both the NAS and the SAN solutions. If cost is the one major factor, then I'm going to have to recommend the NAS. It's affordable, it's easy to install, it's easy to manage by the IT department, and the organization hopefully doesn't worry about the potential traffic issues on the network. Then that NAS solution is going to be the best choice. But we have to be good stewards of that budget, of the considerations of what the organization needs, and so it's critical that we view that through our Christian worldview of how we handle these resources. This is my references, and this concludes my presentation, and thank you very much.